welcome to round 5 of the 2011 BRCA Nationals from Mendip in the West Country, and we are at Weston-super-Mare, the fantastically sunny and wonderful and lovely beach resort in Somerset. It's cold and the water's freezing, but the event itself is red hot, but unfortunately the round 5 is taking place in Mendip, which is about a mile over there, so see you in a second. That was further than I thought. Now for qualifying. Matt, where are my shoes?
Oh, thanks, Nick. Hopefully you've got your name in them. Meanwhile, 17th and 18th of September 2011 brings us to the final round of this year's BRCA series. And Mendip, like most tracks we visit, can get pretty wet.
Now the Mendip River has gone wrong on car number 3, and it's and Mark Redding goes for a different combination of turns.
Well, qualifying's over here at Mendip, and these two have both failed miserably, and they're both in the B final. But on pole position over here, it's Matt White. Matt, what have you got that supposedly superstars and paid drivers haven't got?
Talent.
I thought so. I mean, in fairness though, it's been very, very tricky conditions, hasn't it, throughout the entire thing?
Yeah, it's been really difficult. The problem with it is the same as earlier in the season. It's not the same all the time. So you get a dry round, you get your dry car ready, it looks like it's going to be dry for your run, and then 5 minutes before you run it round.
You're now on pole. Can you convert that to a win, or with these conditions it's just completely pot luck?
I think it's pot luck, to be honest. I mean, my car's been, of the last 3 rounds that we had in the wet, my car's been really good in the wet. So if it stays wet, yeah, possibly. If it gets dry, I don't know. I was 5th in the dry round, so I'm competitive, but maybe not the fastest car.
Matt, thank you very much. Ollie Jeffries, of the big 4, there's you, Elliot, Chris, Andy. Only you've made the A final. Why is that?
It's been crazy. The track's been a little bit of rain, so then it's a bit quicker, or a lot of rain and it's slower. Qualified second, I think, which I'd be happier on pole, but seeing how everybody else has done, yeah, it's been interesting.
So a hatful of points and a good chance to get your second overall then?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I need to do.
Well, winning always helps.
Yeah, I didn't allow for them not being in the final, so. But the other guys are pretty quick, so it should be pretty tough. And again, the weather doesn't look like it's going to change to or be inconsistent. So you might be on slicks or wets or whatever. So it should be good fun, I think.
Well, as you'll have gathered from the qualifying interviews, this A final of the modified class is all about the drivers who aren't there. 6-time British champion Chris Granger, the current reigning new British champion Andy Moore, and twice world's finalist Elliot Harper have all found the constant wet, dry, dry, wet, dry conditions just too tricky and are languishing down in the B and even the C final in Andy's case. So that leaves the last of the big 4, as it were, Ollie Jeffries, you would think, to be a shoo-in for victory here in this race. Well, he's actually on second on the grid. In pole, it's Matt White. In third on the grid, we have Tom Watts. Fourth, Tim Langdale. I know nothing about him apart from my Facebook friends. In fifth, it's Chris Crisis Kurzweil. Sixth on the grid, we have Craig Morgan. Seventh, Chris Ashton. Eighth, Johnny Aird. Ninth, Alan Bickerstaff. And 10th, Brian Eldridge. So as they wait to get away on this first leg, it's wet, damp and nasty. What fantastic bit of drifting there, and a brilliant start by Ollie Jeffries there, coming right up the inside of Matt White. Massive traction of the line, but Matt gets back through again. This is again very much like Halifax. The track is damp, there's different amounts of traction left, right, and Ollie getting bullied out there. In fact, down to third, fourth, fifth in the melee. I think second now we have Chris Kurzweil, third Ollie Jeffries. The whole gaggle of cars behind him as they fight round this mystery of grip. The track is damp, there is some rain falling at the moment, and as they sprint down the track, they're still hitting some pretty high top speeds, but as a matter of pure interest, the lap times in the dry are around 17 seconds. Ollie gets beaten up again going around the loop before the start-finish straight. And in the wet like this, or the damp, they're 10 seconds slower, and Ollie gets clipped again. Someone was really, he's obviously got it in for something. Just avoid, I think that's Brian Eldridge. The blue car clips in. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is, but then, of course, a lot of drivers using their wet cars with wet body shells. It's hard to tell. Matt White, no problem at all. He sprinted out in the lead in what is, again, one of these drifty sort of races, much as we saw at Halifax a couple of meetings ago. You come in, you turn in, you just hope for the best. The car's on wet tyres. There will become a point where they'll change the wet to dry. We're expecting you to dry up during the rest of the afternoon. Chris Kurzweil now in second place. And then behind him we see it's a battle for third between Chris Ashton in the blue and white car and Ollie Jeffries in the... Well, it's actually pink and yellow to get close to it. Ollie's classic colours, we've seen him do so well on RC Racing TV in 12th, including the Euros this year. Ollie now hunting down Chris Ashton. Chris holding his position, looking to get that third place. Ollie needs to get the points. If he can pick up an overall win at this event, he may well end up second overall in the British Championship. Of course, the other... Oh, Chris Ashton there. He just put the... I don't think there was contact. I think he just got psyched out by Ollie's speed. Ollie, and indeed, he went wide... Just tried to correct, and in this sort of weather, that correction can result in snap oversteer. Ollie, you see, tail happy as he fishes through. He's looking to try and follow. I think that's Brian Eldridge now who's catching up to Ollie Jeffries, and then Chris Ashton recovered. So it looks like it's, yeah, Ollie now still in third place. He's behind Chris Kurzweil. He's behind Matt White. But if he gets a hurry on second place, it's still possible. He could probably still catch Chris Kurzweil, especially with the massive speed that associated up the straight. That's looked great. But there's Matt White now, stroking it through the last couple of corners. A lights to flag victory, well, apart from about 10 yards at the start. Brilliant result in leg one for Matt White. A great win, but behind him, there's a very close battle for second and third. Who will get it? They come in the picture now, and it's just Kurzweil from Jeffries. Great driving there, but Kurzweil holds on for a second overall. There's Matt White, the winner, a happy man. In second place, Chris Kurzweil. Third, Ollie Jeffries. Fourth, Chris Ashton. And fifth, Brian Eldridge. And on to leg two, and as ever, if the leg one winner Matt White wins this one, he'll win the overall final. But as you can see, the track is very different from leg one. It's now got dry patches, and it's a bit of a toss-up whether you run slicks or whether you run wet tyres. Probably still just favouring the wet. So again, a great start from Ollie Jeffries. He's managed to again take past and through Matt White. Matt will follow him down. Matt probably may want to take a waiting game, see what happens. Behind in the rest of the field, straight through. Ollie's made a great start, and he's putting down the power down as it dries out. If you go slightly back further down the field, it's Chris Ashton leading the surprise finalist Tom Watts there. I've not heard of Tom, but he's obviously, now he's made the final. He wants to show he deserves to be there. He's putting a good piece of race action against the Schumacher specialist, but we now see that Ollie is really putting, he's managed to find what he wants now. He is, of course, in this field, in the dry, with everyone else there, you would say, Ollie, yep, shoe in to win, no issue whatsoever. But of course, with these tricky conditions and a track that's a patchwork of grip and no grip, as we see, I think that's some action there with Chris Ashton, and probably that's Chris Kurzweil. I think he's now put on his dry body shell, which is a bit of a giveaway. He's now running his dry car, not his wet car. Now, whether that dry car has got wet or dry tyres, we don't know. It gets very confusing. My brain starts to hurt when I think of it. Again, it's the battle again. We're looking with Ashton and Kurzweil running through the field. They're trying to fight as high as possible. It's really a case of what can they do. Kurzweil obviously has a second place. He'll be looking to get some higher positions. Chris Ashton obviously the fourth in the first leg. It's all about the points. His best 2 legs out of 3 count as they swoop round. Some great racing here. The cars are so much quicker just with this sort of semi-dry area. They're already going about 5 seconds a lap faster than they were in the first leg, and I expect if we get a full dry leg, they're going to have 5 seconds faster again. And it just goes to show that once you have those cornering speeds, and Ollie now begins to speed up and start catching people all the way. In fact, I think he's about to lap Matt White. Matt's had a disaster on one of those laps. He's ended up being a lap down. Matt White actually is now in 8th place. So that's a terrible leg. I want to throw it away, but Ollie just majestically coming through to win there. And there is the young man himself. But that was Ollie wins that one from Tom Watts. Great result for the young man. Alan Bickerstaff third. That's a second associated in the top 3. Tim Langdale fourth. And Brian Eldridge 5th again. So coming into the final leg, anyone of 4 drivers, Chris Kurzweil, Matt White, Tom Watts and Ollie Jeffries could win this race. It's all down to, off they go, and it's much better start. Oh, nightmare start for Ollie Jeffries. I think Ollie's been taken out and Ollie's been collected, and off camera, his body shell, and he is out of the race. So we're now to 3 people here. It's Tom Watts, it's Matt White, and it's Chris Kurzweil. Any of those with the correct combination of scores for themselves and non-combination for other people, they'll be in. Matt White now, he's going around now, and it looks like Tom Watts has got ahead. It's Tom Watts from Matt White, from Chris Kurzweil. 1, 2, 3. 3. Great run for Tom Watts. To say, I haven't heard of him before now, but he is a master at Mendip. And with these drying conditions, we're now almost up to absolute full speed of these cars. They're not far off the total dry times. Tom's car looking great, very fast. But look at the gain there. Matt White with the GM-powered Schumacher certainly had the horsepower, but has he got the speed? But Tom's holding in well. Oh, he's gone! Oh no, and then it's grip roll. This is the problem. The track's come up. They've got the cars set for extra softness and grip in the damp, but suddenly hit a really grippy dry patch and the car rolls out of the way. Just goes there. No mistake, just pure bad luck. But Kurzweil now dicing with Matt White. These two guys know each other from the 12th circuit. They both raced extensively indoors on carpet and now they're doing outdoors on tarmac in damp condition, but Kurzweil gets through. Matt White fights back and gets through to him again. It's Matt now just headed with the and Matt's rolled it. Again, grip roll with a couple of laps to go. So Chris Kurzweil takes over the lead and he will stroke it home to victory. Chris Kurzweil, look at that. He slightly unsettled there, Matt White on the curb, but that's grip roll. That's the cars being set for the conditions that weren't there, and Kurzweil wins for Serpent in Heat 3. He's got a first and a second, but Matt White comes over the line. He's got a first and second as well, and it's Matt White who takes the overall victory on countback on the qualifying because he was the pole man. So in that leg, it was Chris Kurzweil from Matt White from Chris Ashton with Brian Eldridge in 4th this time, but overall the final round of the BRCA Nationals from Mendip, it is Matt White who takes the national win, Chris Kurzweil 2nd, Ollie Jeffries 3rd, Chris Ashton 4th, Tom Watts 5th, and you can read the rest yourselves. So Matt, it all came down to countback. Great first race, certainly the middle of the race was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the car, I got a really good start, and I kind of eased off, to be honest, for the first couple of minutes because I had a pretty good lead, and then I think Chris started to catch me, and I think I got a wheel just sort of slightly in the bottom of the curve on coming out of the chicane, so I think I possibly could have held it, I'm not sure, but obviously small mistake, back wheel in the chicane, so it was that.
Chris, frustrating to lose it on qualifying because you both had a first and a second?
It's frustrating. The whole weekend's been frustrating with the weather. Obviously in the dry, the car's really good. Got a second in the first round with a mistake. And the car was obviously good in that final, clearly the quickest car. Just unfortunately, weather played into the hands and I got some bad qualifying results. And yeah, that's what tipped the balance in the end.
So as we come to the 2011 National Championship here for the BRCA Touring Car Championship, it's time to reflect on what's been a fantastic season. We started, of course, at West London with a resurfaced track, but still with some of the same old problems.
If you man up and just punch it through, if you get it right, then yeah, you get a good lap time out of it.
When you go wrong, it punishes you big style.
West London saw an epic battle between Chris Granger and Elliot Harper, and coming away from there he thought it's the same old as Chris Granger started the defence of his title with a great win. So on to round 2 on Cotswolds, and there couldn't be a bigger contrast. It was wet, not just slightly wet, but biblically wet. But despite the weather, we saw some fantastic race action, especially between Ollie Jeffries and Andy Moore, as the big guns show that even when it's slippy, they still have the skills.
It's been pretty hard, but obviously if you get a win, no matter how it goes, it's obviously a good thing.
Round 3 took us to Halifax, which in case you don't know, is up to north. Typical English weather hit as well. Typical Yorkshire weather. It was wet, wetter, bit drier, and then wetter again. But the drivers all hit the track, looking to show their skills in these odd conditions. And Brian Eldridge hit everybody. Round 4 took us to Aldershot, and thankfully a dry day that saw 2 new national champions crowned. In stock class, Ayrton Anderson.
2011 BRCA National Champion, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm speechless.
And in mod, after a gap of, well, about 130 years, it was Andy Moore.
spot on, so a double win for hot bodies and more speed. Can't ask for more.
And now the final round at Mendip on the English Riviera, where of course it's mostly been raining. So let's find out who has made the grid for the stock A final. So the stock grid looks like this. No such mistake for our champion Ayrton Anderson. He's plonked the thing on pole despite the difficult conditions. Second on the grid is Chris Slater. Third is Matthew Wynyard. Fourth, Ryan Edwards. Fifth, James Hart. Sixth, Kieran Clift. Seventh is Ben Bridgewater. Eighth is Andy Murray. Ninth is Chris Neff. And 10th is John Simpson, and many of those names we've not heard of so far this year. And they're getting underway in, of course, wet conditions. We'll see the same drying up of the track over the 3 legs as we saw in the modified. And a sedate getaway there for Ayrton Anderson. He's driving very nicely within himself, and behind him is the rest of the grid, which currently is Matt Wynyard from Ryan Edwards, from Chris Slater, from James Hart, but that order is changing corner by corner. But Wynyard now needs to try and get it to hammer down. It looks more like Ryan Edwards has got the speed. He's going to try and push it down the straight. It's no, in fact, Matt pulls away. Oh dear, there, Ryan Edwards, it's a bit damp situation. He turned in, and surprisingly, he got more front grip than he expected, so he just slid out in a sort of a drifty style, more like a brisker stock car than anything else there. But he didn't lose any places. So Chris Slater now up him in the mat, and Chris Slater gets through both of them, and then loses to James Hart and Ryan Edwards there. This is the problem, corner by corner. It's tricky. The grip's coming and going, and another mistake for Ryan Edwards there. It's not his day at the moment. Chris, and another mistake. Well, I think he was hit that time. So Ryan Edwards has spun off about 5 times. James Hart now up with Matt Wynyard, battling for second place, and he gets through, slides through nicely. I'm sure Matt will come back here, but James Hart seems to be finding the grip now. You see Ayrton there whipping through the edge of the frame. He's a long way back, and here comes Ayrton now. He's again, look, majestic. He's taking a very different line, actually. Almost like he's taking a karting line, as they say in full-size sport, because sometimes in the wet, there's more grip in places where the cars aren't normally running. Now, he's looking in consummate control. He's got the speed, he's got the handling. He looks like he's going to pick up a leg 1 win from pole. Oh, a little bit understeer there, but I think they're all getting there. Oh, he's looped it. Too much power, but he's got such a lead. He's going to get away with it, and he's going to take it nicely over the line for a victory in leg 1, and that's a great result there for Ayrton Anderson. So on a drying track, Ayrton just needs another win to win another leg and another meeting and another round of the National Series. And away we are about to go. And off they get into the first. All synchronised spinning there. And that was Chris Slater and I think Ryan Edwards both doing 360s off the line, which led Matt Wynyard into the... Matt Wynyard now is there. Let's look again. Spin, Chris, and a sympathetic spin from Ryan as well. So it's Wynyard who's tracking down Anderson. Don't give much chance of getting past me. Ayrton's been imperious. But, and Ayrton spun himself. Well, that's a second rare mistake there, and he just put the power down in too much, and it's just a mixture of grip. James Hart now is hunting him down, and looks like a recovering Ryan Edwards as well. He's done well from the spin earlier on. So there we find we have. It is Anderson now is in second. Matt Wynyard has come through brilliantly to take the lead. James Hart is chasing down Ayrton. And this is going to be an interesting thing. Can Ayrton hold his cool in these changes? There was a double spin there, and that was Wynyard and Hart. And I think they did a double Salco, triple pike, 5.9 from the German judge there. And look at that, they're going to hit each other. They actually both do 3 complete rolls and then land on their feet. That's more X Games than BRCA touring car. But going back to the front, and Ayrton Anderson now is hunting down Matt Wynyard. But he spun it. Oh, that's really bad luck. He was holding back for so many laps, but Ayrton's relentless pace. Now he's got used to the grip levels. And again, we saw in the first leg, you go in, you think you've got the front grip, you have, and the rear lets go. So Wynyard now is in second and being chased by a gaggle of cars, which is the recovering Edwards Hart. And that's Andy Murray there. He's also up from, I think, 8th on the grid. And in the melee and the battle for the overall positions bits, now again, it's Hart and Edwards who are chasing down Wynyard, looking for second place overall, because obviously that's all they can go for. Wow, that was easy sprint through. Edwards a little bit robust there. So it's now Hart and Edwards who are in second and third. We've got Murray there who's in 4th as they go around the corner. Edwards looking to try and move in. And he's clipped Hart, and Murray's hit him, and I think Murray's gained out there. Interesting to see how the stewards see that one, but it's meant that Ayrton Anderson has got a huge lead and a second leg win and a 4th national win out of 5 for the year. A great performance by Ayrton and the hot body chassis. Brilliant performance by the young man. Let's look at this again. Oh, that was very naughty there. Edwards, and I suppose Andy Murray had nowhere to go. Well, he's the big gainer, Andy Murray, because of course Ayrton Anderson has won, but Andy Murray is in second. Ryan Edwards comes back to third. Matt Wynyard is 4th. Then Chris Neff in 5th place. Obviously, between the 2 heats, the track was very different. Was it a very different car to drive?
There was a lot of dry patches on the track and made it difficult. You hit grip and then you lost grip. Yeah, it's tough.
Well, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that there's no Ayrton Anderson at the start of leg 3. It's not because he's won it, it's because he had a problem with the speed control in his dry car, and all the drivers are now in their dry machines. So Ayrton Anderson sitting on the side, he wanted to take part and he couldn't, and they got off in grid order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, sorry, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Ayrton's not there. Oh, and that's not what Chris Slater wanted to do. He had a clean lead, and for the second time in 2 races, he's made a mistake on the first lap, and that's a really expensive one as he goes over there because the entire field streaks through, and it hands the lead to Matt Wynyard there, and he's leading from James Hart, and more, well, it's more chaos there as they get coming together. We've had this before in the Pro Stock. They get a little bit edgy towards the end, and that's let Andy Murray through from Ben Bridgewater in the all-white car. So Ben's obviously sprayed up a shell, especially for this. It looks like he's a lot happier now. He's got some dry weather. We've not seen that car in the previous 2 legs. Andy Murray, the associated driver from Scotland, looking for... Oh, that was a bit of an over-optimistic mover there. And a mistake there from Ben as well. Ben's looked quick, but that was just reckless. And Andy Murray now is going to give it a really comfortable lead. And I think if he wins this race, he could get second overall. And behind them, more problems and more problems. But James Hart is the man now who's got second in that Schumacher car. We've seen James in a number of the heats. Always been quick. Never quite as quick as Ayrton Anderson. But then again, no one's been as quick as Ayrton Anderson. Ayrton, of course, named after Pamela Anderson, the 1980s Baywatch stuff. No, he's not. He was named after Ayrton Senna. We know this now. That joke's been running for 3 races. Anyway, Ben Bridgewater now showing a rare turn of speed as he seems to be catching up James Hart. I think James is holding him back well. So James now, it's pretty obvious that Ben really likes the car. Now that it's basically dry. It looks wet, but they're 95% dry. You haven't got that problem you had in the previous 2 heats where you could turn in and you didn't know what was going to happen. Now you can trust your car. You can get some warmth in those slick tyres. You can start to race. We can see now those incredible... Oh, and just as I was praising him to 9s, he throws it all away. And ironically, Chris Slater, who did exactly the same thing in the first lap, has slipped through underneath him. And Ben there, the same thing. Too much curb, too aggressive, wanted too much for nothing, and he's gone back down the field. But Andy Murray, a really easy and really quality win there for the young man. Andy takes the win overall, and he will actually come second overall for the meeting. It's Andy Murray from James Hart. Chris Slater's in 3rd, Ben Bridgewater 4th, and 5th place is Ryan Edwards. So the overall result of the Pro Stock here for the last round is Ayrton Anderson from Andy Murray, from James Hart, Chris Slater, Matthew Wynyard, and Ryan Edwards, and the rest are also written down there with Chris Slater, not Slater, I should point out. Well, that's it for the BRCA National in 2011 and a great series. Congratulations to Andy Moore and Ayrton Anderson on their championship wins. But rest assured, we at RC Racing are doing loads more events in the near future, so stay tuned to rcracing.tv and anywhere else you may get this fantastic content. I just need now to go to Las Vegas, and I think the quickest way is by sea. So see you in a couple of weeks in Vegas.